Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Academia Talks TV. Now, to those of you who are new to our channel, Academia Talks TV is a new show that tries to put a refreshing spotlight on the activities of the academic community. Now, we do this through things like panel discussions, interviews, student debates, and much more. Now, for today's session, we're featuring a panel of academics who will be discussing key issues in academia and beyond. And we do this by selecting fascinating research studies and discussing their relevance and significance to our local academic setting. I'm your host, Dr. Afrifa. Now, I'd like to welcome our panel to today's discussion. We have back Professor Teresa Obuobi-Sadakon, who is from the Department of Management and HR. Prof, you're welcome to today's discussion.
Thank you.
And we have a new member of the panel, Dr. Emilia Mwakwasiedu, who's also from the Department of Management and HR, as well as Head of Department for Marketing. Yeah. Dr. Emilia, welcome.
Thank you, Michelle.
Now, you've probably heard of the popular metaphor, men are from Mars, women are from Venus, which is a funny way of explaining the psychological differences between men and women. But how different are we really when it comes to issues such as infidelity? Now, when it comes to the research side of it, evolutionary psychologists such as David Buss did studies where they found that, on a whole, men express more anger over a partner's sexual infidelity. While on the flip side, women express more anger when it's emotional infidelity. Now, our focus article for today is a 2021 study by Kato from the Journal of Sexual and Relationship Therapy, where he specifically examined gender differences in response to infidelity and attractiveness. So, our question for today is, do men and women respond to infidelity in the same way? Now, we have an all-female panel for today. So for today's show, it's going to be a women's perspective, and then hopefully next week we'll have the men come on board and we'll do a mix-up. So for today, we're going to have a female perspective on this topic. So my panel members, so in your opinion, let me put it to you, do women respond to infidelity in the same way? So taking it from your own perspective, what do you think?
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Infidelity, from my perspective, so far as a female is concerned, it's more about the exposure, feeling that you have been exposed, the attention not being on you, feeling that somebody has not been faithful to you, there has been some kind of unfaithfulness. And that is how come that females are likely to be feel emotionally hurt than the males. So, to respond to your question, it's more of the unfaithfulness part and not about the person involved, whether she's attractive or not. Yeah. A beautiful woman, an ugly woman, go ahead, but then the issue of being unfaithful is what hurts
the most. Yes.
Thank you.
So, Amelia, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that I would bounce it off from here. She mentioned that it's basically the act that makes the individual sort of hurt. I think that, it's not so much of whether the woman involved or the man involved is ugly or is attractive. It's just the act. The fact that you think that somebody has entered your space, and that can hurt, whether the person is attractive or not, and it can affect your emotions. And even going forward with the fact that not only sleeping with that individual, but the person is quite intimate and can go ahead and say that, oh, I love you, or move a few things that you think should have come to you, to that particular individual. Can hurt, and it can be on both sides, whether it is a man or it's a woman. And I even think that the men get more jealous than the women. In our part of the world, we think that it's normal for a man to cheat, and so if your man is having an affair, everybody will think that, oh, I mean, it's a man's thing. But the men will not stand it if a woman is cheating. So I think the men even get more jealous than the women, even though on both sides, it hurts. It's like somebody intruding your space.
So you both talked about it didn't matter about how the person looked and attractiveness. So let me go back to the article and just read a few things. They talked about how when other people were testing gender differences in jealousy, previous research had participants imagine their partner's infidelity using hypothetical infidelity scenarios. So with the Kato study, they provided participants with photographs of what they call rivals. So we had people who were attractive and unattractive, and then they used that to sort of solicit what people's views were. So in your opinion, if, let's say we did the study here, do you think the methodology is something, is it sound, is it something that would work? In your opinion, what kind of methodology do you think we could use to solicit similar responses? Because in their case, as I said, they had photographs, one person was attractive, one person wasn't, and they were trying to solicit, I guess, views or emotions. What do you think about the methodology that was used in this case?
Context makes a lot of difference. So the people involved in a research, that is why in academia you can replicate a study that has been conducted in another area, in another context, and see if it is so. Because context makes a difference in some cases when it comes to research. So a methodology was used in when they were carrying the study. A similar one can be used in the Ghanaian context, and the results may be different, or it may be the same, because context makes a difference.
Yes. What do you think, Amelia?
Yeah, I think that it lies in the eyes of the beholder. So
exactly.
Just like Prof is saying, you could replicate the study here, but what is attractiveness?
Exactly.
What is
attractiveness?
attractiveness?
Quite relative.
So for some women, it is maybe the makeup, it is the hair, it is the body shape. For a man, it could be the same. But you see, as the saying goes these days, men are not looking for beauty. It is maybe your attitude, your intelligence, and all that. So if you are going by the pictures and maybe thinking that somebody is attractive because that person is wearing a thick makeup or a light makeup, we may get it wrong.
Yeah.
Of course, context matters, but I think that if we carry it out here, I don't think we'll get the same.
Then the context
really
and the
matters,
people
yes.
involved really matters.
Right.
Yes.
So going back to that, one of the limitations, as was mentioned in the study by Kato, is that the study's generalizability is a problem because it's a Japanese sample, which is a different, culture. So again, do you think the results would vary if conducted in Ghana? Obviously, we know in Japan they have their own culture, their own beliefs. What variations do you think would there be looking at that study if we replicate it here?
I think they would vary. As somebody says that every woman has a partner. Every woman, no matter how your face is, every man, no matter how your physique is, has somebody who is attracted to you. And so if we use that same thing, showing pictures and all that, somebody it is a 6 packs, or somebody it is a nice face.
Yeah.
I will not be attracted to 6 packs. For me, it's your ability to show care and to do a few things than the physical beauty and so or handsomeness. And so if you are showing me pictures, it will not work. And I think that there will be other people who would also think like I do. In this context, in our Ghanaian context, Ghanaian women are not looking so much for, I may be wrong, all the physique and all that. Yeah. But I think that this study, we can replicate here, but I don't think that we'll get the same result. If you generalize it. You could even go into other contexts.
Let's go to another limitation that was mentioned in the study. And the key thing we need to realize is the sample that was used in this study. It was college students, and they were 24 years old or younger. So that in and of itself creates, it brings up some questions. But so the sample was college students, 24 years or younger, and that age, exhibits its own level of maturity. And so the question is, if let's say respondents had been in their 30s, 40s, 50s, what do you think? What do you think implications would be regarding the study? Because when you're that young, obviously you have a certain preference, and as we get older, we all know our preferences change. Usually, but then as we get older, we become mature. We understand what's more important, and we look for someone who has a good personality, someone who's capable of raising a family, and all these things. So, looking at the sample, what do you think would have happened if the respondents had been in their 30s and 40s, and what do you think the results would be? So, go to Teresa.
Just as you said, maturity makes a difference. So that's why in research, you can even carry a research and look at the age and their responses.
Yes.
So if the respondents are within the younger age brackets, and we carry another research with elderly people, we may probably get different results. Because as you mature in marriage, you get the experience and you get to know that you are not moving in there to live with a perfect being, but you rather look for the perfect sense in that imperfect being as you live in the marriage. So it's highly probable, I don't want to say it is definite, but it's highly probable that if the respondents fell in a higher age bracket, the results would likely to be different.
What do you think, Amelia? Do you agree with this?
No, I do agree. Yeah. You see, at 24 or less, at 24 years or less, they're students. Most of them are fantasizing and they're looking for things that are not really real. I mean, if you talk to them, you would notice that what they're really looking for are not real, and some of them cannot be achieved. And so, if you had conducted this research amongst married people,
a question on that, I'll let you finish and I'll come back to that.
If you had conducted this amongst married people who are in a stable relationship, so 24 and lower, they are students and they are now exploring, want to understand each other and all that. And they are very particular about their looks and how their guys present themselves. And so I think that if we do this amongst older people, the results will be different.
So let me go back to, since you mentioned marriage, another limitation that was mentioned in the study was that married couples and those who had previously experienced infidelity were not part of it. So that's a key thing with this. So let's take the first thing, married couples. So married couples were not included. What do you think, since you're both married, what do you think married couples would have thought, or what would their views have been? As you were saying, Amelia, that once you're married, the dynamics change, and infidelity, your responses to infidelity would be a bit different. If you were just in a regular relationship, your response to infidelity would vary somewhat. So let me start with you, Amelia, on this. So the fact that married couples weren't part of the sample, what do you think would be unique about having a married, person take part in the study in terms of how they would view infidelity?
I think that if a married person suspects infidelity or even catches the husband, I mean, I don't think that person, you get to be jealous, but in taking a decision as to whether to walk away or to stay.
That's another thing.
There are a few things you would have to consider. Exactly. For instance, if you have children, you have more than one or two who are in school, let's say you are even not working. Let's say you are working. In this marriage is a partnership that we are supporting each other. So if you move on, I mean, people consider there's children, there's family here, there's this. And so the jealousy is there, yes, but you're not looking at whether the woman that he's going out with is attractive or
not.
is not attractive. It is a matter of family issues and domestic things that you cannot sometimes just let go of. Yeah, so the response would have been different.
All right, so Teresa, what do you think, going back to this issue of if we're married couples, what the implications would be from the study?
The results is likely to be different. Just as Dr. Amako Esiedu said, what the young population will be looking for, it's likely to be different from what a mature person who is married will be expecting, and what would inform the person's decision. As a person moves into marriage, with time, the person gets to know that you are not in there to get a perfect being, but then you are in there to see the perfection in that imperfect being. So yes, when your husband or your wife is involved in these things, a lot of factors would influence your choices, your decision, whether you walk out of the marriage or what. And it would even depend on what the person has been. What were the reasons? How did you even get to know that he has been involved in? And this time I'm talking about the he, because, well, we are females. So, we are assuming
this is See, in marriage, things will change. Let's say you've been married for some years. Okay. And so what we call attractiveness may not be the same as when you started. Maybe you have had children, your breast will not be standing as much as it is, and a few things would have changed because of maybe childbirth or maybe certain things that would have happened. Your man would be the 6 packs and all those. Of course. And so I think that in such situations, the attractiveness issue should not be or would not really be an issue here in terms of taking a decision on whether your man cheated and you want to. Of course, at that level, when you see some of the men and what they would want to do is to go in with the small children or the girls, let's say, the young ladies. Most of them don't marry them anymore. So it is more of like they want to play and they'll come back. So most of the married women, whatever it is, are really secure and stable in wherever they are. Of course, the jealousy will be there, but in terms of leaving and all that, it's not.
It's interesting you mentioned about how attractiveness changes, because I watched a funny TikTok video the other day on the fact that, in marriage, what attracts, in this case, it was the wife reacting to the husband, and the fact that she was more attracted to him washing dishes, sweeping, hoovering, taking care of the kids. To her, that was more attractive than him even bringing her flowers or, roses, because in that dynamic, what attracts you to a person changes. So that's I think one of the funny ways in which we can sort of figure out what attractiveness is.
Just to add on to what you said, so human relations, every human being has his or her love language. How he or she feels loved. Is it about service? Is it about gifts? So if the person understands the language, the way she feels loved is where she's getting the support from the spouse, then that person would feel loved if the husband washes and offers these little services, right? But if the person, it's more of the quality time person, if the person feels loved, if her spouse makes time for her, then she will feel loved. So going back to the issue on table, how would you feel what happened? How has your spouse always been? Has he given you the opportunity to think that you would ever be involved in infidelity?
All right, so our last point of discussion for today. Now, taking into consideration the fact that there were these limitations that we've discussed, the fact that married couples were not included in the sample, the fact that those who had experienced infidelity before were not part of it, and also the age bracket. So in your opinion, how could the methodology have been improved, or what do you think could have been added, considering the sample as well, to have, should I say improved it or made it, to
ensure that we can generalize the results?
Yes.
So in research, that's why we always identify a gap and feel, and this is a gap that the study has indicated. And since the demographic background of respondents make a difference, and context too matters to authenticate or to improve upon the results, not authenticate because the results, it's authentic. Thank you. They can look at people from different age brackets and then different backgrounds and different contexts. Ghana and the same, where was it carried out?
Japan.
Ghana and Japan. Look at married and unmarried, the young and old, and the results can give us a true picture of what is happening. So a comparative study, widening the scope, would be very helpful.
I think I would agree with Prof. Moore. I think she said it so. Looking at Japan is what, Asia? That's what they say.
Yes.
So Africa, or maybe the Americans, and then see how cultures in some of these continents or other countries are, and then also adding all the various groupings. Because how could we say that somebody who is not married before can have these conclusions on issues of relationship? Of course, we build relationship from somewhere, then we take it into marriage, or maybe not even we end up in marriage. But I think that if we add up all these other demographics, it should give us some results that we can generalize.
I am assuming that it was a quantitative study or it was a qualitative study. So if it was a qualitative study, we can do a little bit more quantitative. But if it was a qualitative, then we could do. So I am recommending that a mixed method approach could be adopted in carrying out the study.
All right. So I think we can end things for today. So that's a wrap for today's show. I want to thank the panel for sharing their invaluable insights into this really interesting discussion. I want to thank you for your time and thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
All right, guys, so that's it. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, press the like button, share, comment, and press the notification bell so that you can get important notifications whenever we post new content. You'll be one of the first to see it, so please don't forget to subscribe. All right, this is Academia Talks TV. Thanks so much for watching and see you again next week. Bye.